Hi everyone, my name is Grace Steiner. I am a nursing major here at George Fox, and for our discussion video today, I'm going to be doing option number 1. So based on 2 of our sources, I chose our education puzzle for the week and then chapter 3 of the American Yawp. And I'll talk about chapter 3 first. But the question is something you learned about the impact of slavery on what eventually became the United States of America. So it's asking about the colonies, and when I think of the 5 C's in historical thinking, the first thing I think about is change over time, and that would be like in this chapter they go over labor systems, slavery, Native Americans, colonization of the Native Americans. And when I'm looking at today's world, the colonization of the Native Americans, they still live on reservations. And, nobody would ever want to take that from them, ever. But it's the fact that we took their home and shrunk it down to something so small, and they're still there. And that's really interesting to think about. And then also the hierarchies that shaped American society, and that, all started with race-based slavery, which started in the 1600s, and it just kind of kept going along with the Atlantic slave trade. So they were getting, they were joining the global economy. They were sending things all across the world, receiving things from all across the world. It all had to do with money and, land and power. And it's just very interesting to read about all of that. And then the education puzzle I wanted to talk about is about the Stono Rebellion. And it was in a time that's so interesting because the slaves were standing up for themselves, and they were fighting for what they believe in and fighting together and all joining together, and they were walking, and they're, other slaves that just joined the rebellion and saw them going, and they hopped on in. And it was so interesting to me. I can't fathom thinking this way, so it's hard for me to understand. But the 1939 Security Act, it required all white men to carry guns to church on Sunday. Required. And I find that interesting as well. Why it wasn't just like a you bring it if you want to type of situation. And then also the Spanish Proclamation of 1733, where if any slave was deserted to St. Augustine, Florida, they were allowed to be freed, but under certain stipulations, like they wanted them to convert to being Catholicism, and it was, and then the Act of 1740, it was designed to prevent another event like Stono, and that law required a ratio of 1 white person to 10 slaves on any plantation. And I find that very interesting. When I think about that, it just is complex. I don't know. It's hard to, it's interesting to learn about, but it's hard to kind of grasp that this was real. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.